when I think about a lot of the marketplaces we've backed, if I think about Farfetch, Deliveroo, even Etsy, they've actually monetized from the start. It wasn't a flip the switch moment. And really we think about that because there's obviously product market fit, but there's also pricing market fit. And ultimately you need to be offering a service that people are willing to pay for. What we do see, however, is that over time, the more leverage that you build, the higher you can push that commission to, or the more kind of layers that you can build on when it comes to vertical SaaS functionality, etc. What doesn't work is simply flipping a switch for no reason. It has to be driven with better product offering or a better sort of access to a broader base of customers. So that's what we see, and appreciate that process can be painful. And in fact, I vividly remember at Deliveroo having to do that. So going back into restaurants that I'd sold on a 25% commission to then tell them that we were upping it to 30% commission. But obviously by that stage, because of Deliveroo's brand value, we were actually bringing incremental new customers to the platform. And therefore restaurants were still willing to pay that higher commission because suddenly the value proposition that we were offering was even higher.
Once you have scale and you're at a tipping point, whether that is because you have a lot of liquidity locally, a lot of supply demand, where the throughput is good, the sell-through rate, whatever the metric is for the vibrancy of your marketplace, i.e. people are locked in that behavior. I think the risk in that though is that you can try to do that then and then it may not work. And then you might be in a little bit of a pickle. So I think the key is along the way to try and monetize, even if it's in small ways, just to have that muscle and know and check yourself. Are people actually willing to pay for this before you've spent a lot of money, you've gone to a lot of scale, and all of a sudden, your thesis was incorrect?
Love this question. And for me as an investor or as a founder, the time when we really thought, oh God, we've got something here, is when you had professional users who were making a living on the platform. And you see that repeated again and again in the most successful marketplaces. So, eBay has their power sellers. Toro has people who buy 6, 8, 10 cars plus to actually rent out on the platform. And so the long tail of users is great and you need them for liquidity and variety. But when you see, oh my goodness, someone professional is able to make meaningful money on this platform, then throw oil on the fire, you got something special.
I think it really depends on what you're building. Is it a B2B or a B2C marketplace? So I think in B2B you can much easier and probably should much quicker monetize, and you should also much quicker monetize. Because if customers, meaning B2B customers, enterprises, are paying for your product, it shows that you're actually delivering value. And I just spoke about this come for the tool, stay for the network idea, and if they are ready to pay for your tool, that's already a very strong sign that you've built something that they value, even without the existence of a pure marketplace. So I think that's something to consider on the B2B side. So you can do it basically from day one. On the B2B side, on the B2C side, I think it's much more tricky, or also C2C. I think there it's more about really getting to critical mass when you can really start monetizing. And I think, what does critical mass mean? I think here I can only give some guidance. When you have more than, I would say, half, or maybe even more than 2/3 of your, so to say, target audience on the platform. At least from my experience, it takes a long time to penetrate that. And once you can do that, you are there, and then you flip the switch, you can make a lot of money, and this takes years, right? Or can take years.
In B2B marketplace, I wouldn't advise on monetizing very heavily in the beginning, because then you have a very big chance of they fall back into old patterns and going back kind of like in doing the calls or the deals as they did before on the phone or via email, and you actually want them to interact on the platform. Now, I think more naturally, when you start opening up the whole buyer landscape for them, then of course on the other transactions they are doing that are outside of their kind of like previous bucket of deals that they were doing, then of course you should monetize on those transactions. And I think that's then a very easy starting point. And then hopefully over time, as they get experience also working with their old buyers and sellers on your platform, you might start to give them a lot of value by simply making the transaction much more simple than it was in the past. And with that experience, I think also comes their willingness to actually even pay on those initial transactions that they had already for many, many years.